Hi, my name is Sagnik and my pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a PhD candidate in Department of Aerospace Engineering and Mechanics. My topic for this talk is transition in particulate pipe flow. This work was sponsored by NSF. So why do we care about particulate pipe flow? Because it's everywhere. Some common examples are blood flow in our veins and arteries, transport of sewage and crude oil, printerants, etc. Okay, so first let's look at how pipe flow without any particles in it, or as it's termed single-phase flow. So single-phase flows have been studied for over 100 years now, and the first significant paper on transition of pipe flow was by Reynolds in 1883, where he found that increasing the flow rate causes the flow to transition from smooth laminar regime to a chaotic turbulent regime. The regime where the transition occurs is called transitional flow. The flow regime can be evaluated by the Reynolds number, which is a ratio of the inertial forces to the viscous forces. And it was found that for single-phase flow, transition occurs at a critical Reynolds number of 2000. Also, when the flow transitions, we see these structures called puffs. A puff, so over here, what I'm showing you is the schematic of a puff. And a puff is essentially a pocket of turbulence enveloped by laminar flow on both sides. So if you follow the flow from left to right, first we see a laminar region, then a sharp trailing edge, then a small region of a highly turbulent-like flow, then a slow but gradual laminar recovery until the flow is laminar again. So also, it has also been shown that adding particles changes the critical Reynolds number. So you can read more about this in the Mata and others, the 2003 paper. So why study transition? It has been found that presence of puffs can cause pressure drops by more than 60%. This causes a huge impact on pumps and other flow driving equipment. Also in laminar regime of particulate pipe flow, there's a phenomenon called Sagnik-Silverberg effect where particles accumulate at a radius near the wall. So these swirling structures of puffs and other non-laminar flow can help in resuspension of these particles. So let's look at the schematic of our experimental setup that we use for our measurements. So each part has its own significance, but we'll only focus on a few of them. So we use a progressive cavity pump by Moino to drive our setup, and we'll mainly focus on a test section where we let the flow develop for 180 diameters after it passes through a flow conditioning. And we take our measurements in this observation zone where we're mostly taking videos using high-speed and DSLR cameras. A working fluid is 20% glycerol water solution, which has the same density as our particles, which are polystyrene beads. And shown here in the corner in bold is what are the properties of the particles that we will be using. Okay, so for the results, we studied how puff affects the concentration of particles radially and found the recovery rates after the particles are displaced. So here's a plot of the concentration of particles with time, and the line at t equals 0, so 1 over here, represents the trailing edge. So anything after this is completely laminar, and anything before t equals 0 is when you see the puff. And so initially you start with laminar, so right over here, so we see a high concentration, but when the puff approaches closer to the observation zone, that's when we see a sharp decrease in the concentration. And as soon as we get through our trailing edge, our concentration increases again. So this drop in concentration, the particles have been displaced, they have to go somewhere. So to find those, we find the concentration at other radii too. So at r equals 0.8, we see that there's not much change happening there. So it's gone beyond that then. So at r equals 0.7, that's when we see our maximum increase in concentration, but there's a slight delay, which is expected because particles take time to move. And we also see like a gradual decrease in concentration back to its original, whatever state it was in. So this is just one experiment that we did. We have also conducted experiments at higher concentration of particles and plan to expand this future for other particles. And thank you. And you can email me at this email address with any questions or comments, and you can have a great day.